Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm going to redo this section, al marfu'at, which is section 3.7 in our chapter, and this is about words that are always marfu, and there were 8 type of these. So we shall go over this section again. So I'll go over the 8 categories of words that are always marfu. The first 3 are in pairs, so they're pretty easy to remember. Fa'ilun and na'ib fa'il. Fa'il and na'ib fa'il are always marfu. We know what fa'il is, and we'll learn what na'ib fa'il or substitute of fa'il is in the next section, inshallah. So fa'il, and in fact today we're going to talk about files. So fa'il and na'ib fa'il is always marfu. Fa'il is the doer, of course. Mubtada and khabar are always marfu by default. Mubtada and khabar always marfu by default. And this third category has to do with inna wa akhawatuha and kana wa akhawatuha. Okay, and here we understand that the khabar of inna is always going to be marfu, and the ism of kana is always going to be marfu. Okay, so the ism of kana is always going to be marfu, and the khabar of inna is going to be marfu. If you remember this, inna, kana, they come with jumla ismiya, so there's mubtada and khabar. Inna will make the ism inna mansub, right? It will make this thing mansub, like inna allaha ghafurun alim, something like that, right? So inna will affect the ism inna, it will become mansub, but the khabar of inna here will remain marfu. So that's why the khabar of inna will be marfu. Okay, so that way. On the other hand, so inna, if you remember, was official name of inna was harful mushabbahatu bil fi'l. Let me just write that since we don't hear this very often. So that was harf. Okay, let's say al harfu المشبهة بالفعل. A harf that is similar to fail, this was fail muta'addi, that means a fail that affects 2 words, and that was kind of, I thought was a weak analogy, but that's what it is. Al-harful mushabbahatu bil-fa'li, because inna affects 2 words. Inna makes the mubtada mansub, and it keeps the khabar marfu, basically, but the khabar of inna is marfu. On the other hand, kana was called al-fa'l al-nakhis, incomplete verb. Kana is incomplete verb, and kana, if you remember, affects the khabar, and it makes the khabar mansub, like this. Okay, but it keeps the mubtada marfu, so it's kind of reversed. Okay, inna affects mubtada and kana affects the khabar, and inna makes the mubtada marfu, kana makes the khabar marfu. On the reverse side, the khabar of inna will be marfu, and ism kana will be marfu. Since we're studying the marfu category today, that we understand that the ism, khabar of inna and the ism kana will be marfu. Okay, so that's that will be 6 categories, and the last 2 categories that we will study of things that are always marfu is number 7 is ism ma wa la. There are 2, ism of ma and ism of la. Ma al mushabbahataini bilaysa. Okay, so we will learn whatever that means in those sections. Ism ma wala mushabbahatayn is similar to laysa. Okay, and laysa, if you remember, was one of the sister of kana wa akhawatuha. Okay, kana sara md laysa, remember? Okay, and then the last category was khabar la allati linaf'il jinsi. Khabrul la allati linafsi jinsi. So the last 2 categories have to do something with ma and la. Okay, so those which we will learn. So this is a section of words that are always marfu, and today we're going to actually focus only on this first category of this, which is al-fa'il. Okay, so first we will define a fa'il. So we will say fa'il basically is a doer of an action, correct? So doer of an action, right? Or of the meaning contained in the word, or of the meaning contained in the word. Okay, so whatever whoever's doing the playing out the action contained in the word. Okay, so this section kind of gets tricky because fa'il can be a personal pronoun, a dhamir, or ism zahir. Okay, so fa'il, okay, it can be a dhamir, okay, or it can be a ism zahir. That is a noun that comes after a verb. Okay, for example, ja'a zaydun. So this is zahir, it's apparent, it's a noun that's right after the verb. Okay, so it can come in those two categories. Okay, so it can be a damir or ism zahir, a visible word that's after a fi'l. Alright, the thing about it is fi'l, we talk about fa'il only when we talk about fi'lun. Okay, fi'lun and fa'il. You can't have a fa'il if you don't have a fi'l. Okay, so you can't have a fa'il if you don't have a fi'l. So there are some rules as to fi'l and fa'il. In other words, certain fi'ls will require certain types of fi'ls. Certain fi'ls will require certain types of fi'ls. Among the 14 sighas of the fi'l, like nasra, nasr, 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 all those 14 ones, you have to pick the right one depending on what the fi'l is. So it is the fa'il that actually determines which fi'l that's going to come in front of it. Okay, so this section has a table which tells you which fi'l is going to come after certain fa'il. Okay, so now I thought about this whole lot, and I kind of rearranged the whole table so I could understand it a little bit better. So the name of the table is al-isti'mal al-fi'li. Okay, isti'mal the usage of the fi'l. Okay, hasba, depending on the fa'il. Okay, depending hasba fa'ili. Okay, the fa'il is going to determine which fi'l is going to come. Alright, so after pondering on this a whole lot, I kind of like reorganized the whole table for myself so it actually makes more sense to me. Alright, so basically fi'l and fa'il come in two different sentences. They come in either jumla ismiya or jumla fi'liya. Okay, if you're dealing with jumla fi'liya, okay, we need some room here, so you'll have a fi'lun, okay, and then it'll be followed by a fa'il. Okay, and this fa'il, since it's right after the fi'l, this is zahir. You'll see it, it's right in front of your eyes, so this is zahir because you can see it right after fi'l. Okay, like the example I gave, ja'a zaydun. Okay, so this was the fi'l and this was the fa'il, which is zahir. It's right there, you can see it in words. Okay, so in jumla fi'liya, like you have over here, fi'l and fa'il. Okay, now in jumla fi'liya, the fa'il is going to determine which fi'l is going to come in third. Okay, so there are several scenarios that can happen. So again, it is going to be the fa'il that's going to determine which fi'l is going to be present there. Okay, so we'll just run down the list of things that can happen. Okay, so the first thing that can happen is you have a feminine, okay, that is mu'annas. Okay, I'm just going to use the word like this. This is for mu'annas. Okay, so I'll just say this means mu'annas. Because save some writing space, right? That's mu'annas. Okay, mu'annas, female. So if the file is mu'annas haqiqi, now you have to remember what that means. So that was discussed previously on page 65. Mu'annas haqiqi is that feminine word that's actually feminine, like genetically female. It has an equivalent masculine, like imra'atun versus rajulun, male and female and male equivalent. So haqiqi is like truly like genetically female, whereas mu'annas غير حقيقي, which would be lafzi, it's a feminine word, like which does not necessarily have a masculine equivalent genetically, like a shamsu, which is a sun, is a female word. It's a lafzi, it's a mu'annas lafzi word. So, but if the file is a truly feminine word, mu'annas haqiqi, okay, like okay, if that's the case, then the corresponding file, okay, the corresponding fi'l would be also just singular feminine. Okay, singular feminine. So I'll just write down here wahid muannas. Okay, so singular feminine wahid muannas. Okay, and then I'll give some examples over here. So if the file is muannas haqiqi, female haqiqi, muannas haqiqi, then the fi'l would be a wahid muannas, a singular feminine. For example, here is qamat, okay, aishatu. Okay, Aisha sat. Okay, so this of course is a haqiqi, a muannas haqiqi fa'il, muannas haqiqi, and singular feminine wahid muannas. Okay, so wahid muannas, qamat aishatu. That makes sense, right? Simple, qamat aishatu. Okay, and then but there is a slight same thing. Okay, if the fa'il is muannas, female haqiqi, is female haqiqi, but okay, there's a word in between. Okay, but there's an intervening word, but there is a word between. Okay, there's a word between fi'l and fa'il. Let me just between fi'l and fa'il. In other words, they're not right next to each other. Okay, but there's a word in between fi'l and fa'il. Okay, so in this case, the fi'l is going to be either singular feminine or it's going to be a singular masculine. Okay, or let's write down that, oopsie daisy, or a singular masculine. Okay, I'll give an example of this. Okay, so this is very interesting. Okay, so again we have the same muannas haqiqi, a genuine female, but there's a word in between. Okay, for example, qara'at قرأت قرأت اليوم قرأت اليوم. So قرأ اليوم عائشة. Okay, so قرأ اليوم عائشة, or you can say قرأ, or you can say قرأ. So you say قرأ. قرأ اليوم. قرأ اليوم عائشة. See, like this. That. So قرأ اليوم عائشة and قرأ اليوم عائشة. Okay, so in this case, this word is kind of like stuck in between fa'il and fa'il, right? So it's kind of like stuck in between there. So because it's like stuck in between, right? So and in between the fa'il and fa'il, right? In this case, you can use either a singular feminine, or you can use a singular masculine. So you can use a singular feminine, or you can use a singular masculine. Okay, so that's the second rule. So nothing has changed except there's a word that came in between. If there's a word that came in between, then you can use a singular feminine fa'il or singular masculine fa'il. So even though Aisha the female, you say قرأ اليوم عائشة. So both are okay. Alright, so that's the second category. Alright, so now if you have a fa'il, a zahir fa'il, these are all zahir. Okay, these are all zahir. Okay, if you have a zahir female, that's غير حقيقي. غير حقيقي. غير حقيقي. Okay, meaning that it's a lafzi. Okay, that is, it's a lafzi female. How do you spell lafzi? I forgot this. Lafzi. It's like this. Lafzi. Okay. غير حقيقي, like shams, right? It's not genetically female word. Okay, so and then if that's the case, okay, the same rule applies. You can use a singular feminine, or you can use a singular masculine. So example would be, so zahir غير حقيقي. Okay, for example, طلعتش الشمس, or you can say طلع الشمس. This is the shamsu, like that. Okay, so now look, now this is a female word, but the khair haqiqi, it's a lafzi female. Okay, muannas, lafzi muannas, right? So in that case also you can use either a singular feminine or singular masculine. In those cases, that's okay, that's also okay. So and then there's another category. This particular if there's fa'il and there's fa'il, and the fa'il is a zahir fa'il, that means you can see it, and it's jama mukassar. Jam'u mukassar. Okay. I want to try to get all of this in here, okay. Jam'u mukassar. Mukassar. Jam'un mukassarun. Okay, jam'u mukassar. Okay. In this case also, right, you can do singular female or singular masculine. Okay, for example, now this is jam'u mukassar. Okay, khalat, singular feminine, khalat الرجال, khalat الرجال, the men said. Or you can say khala الرجال. See, so you can use khalat or khala. Okay, so that's interesting. Now we can simplify this because there's 3 categories that you can see that are the same rule. So we can just simplify these 3 because they all have the same rule. So let's simplify this. So, and then let's put that here and say that these 3 categories have the same rule. That is, you can use a singular feminine or you can use a singular masculine. You can use both of them. Either one is okay. So this gives us a choice, which makes us happy. Okay, so now let's see what the choices are. This is half a work of our work is done here. Okay, so if it's a jumla fi'liya and fi'l is followed by fa'il, that is zahir. Okay, so this is zahir muannas haqiqi. So this first category, we'll just put it this way. Okay, there are 4 categories. If it's zahir muannas haqiqi, okay, zahir muannas haqiqi, it be single female, so 1 female, so you just use singular feminine. If it's zahir muannas haqiqi but there's a word between fi'l and fa'il, then you can do either singular feminine or singular masculine. If it's غير حقيقي, ظاهر غير مؤنث غير حقيقي, ظاهر مؤنث غير حقيقي, then also you can do both, either a singular feminine or singular masculine. Okay, and finally, jam'u kasir, you can also do the same. So this simplifies this quite a bit. So the 4 categories here: zahir muannas haqiqi, zahir muannas haqiqi with the word in between, zahir muannas غير haqiqi, and jam'u kasir. And this is how the file is chosen for their particular file. Okay, so that's half the work here, so that's pretty good. And then, so this was the first category of our word. This is basically jumla fi'liya. This is what happens in jumla fi'liya. Now let's go on about the second category. The second category basically is mubtada and khabar issue. So here we'll have a mubtada, okay, and mubtada is followed by a khabar. Okay, now the only way we'll be talking about fi'l and fa'il in a jumla ismiya is if this khabar has a fi'l, and a fa'il in it. Okay, khabar has fi'l and fa'il in it. Okay, and so in that case, then this file has to agree again with this fi'l and fa'il have to agree with whatever else is going on in the sentence. Okay, and in this case, the file would be like a damir, okay? Because it's the damir that's doing the work. So let me just put it like this: file, and this file would be the damir. I have to have this. So this is going to be a damir. Damir, okay? File is going to be a damir. Okay, so now let's do this. Now, if this damir refers to a female, let's do it like this. Okay, let me put like this. Okay, same thing. Okay, first thing is if this damir is muannas. Okay, if its damir is muannas, okay, if this damir is muannas, okay, all right, okay, if the damir is muannas, then the fi'l, okay, then the fi'l will be, okay, it would be singular feminine, dual feminine, or plural feminine, okay, depending on the noun it refers to. This is easier than it looks, okay? So if the damir is muannas, the fi'l will be singular, dual, or plural depending on what the noun it refers to. Okay, let me put the rule for the men too while we're at it. If the damir is muzakkar, if the damir is muzakkar, then the fi'l will be same thing, single masculine, dual masculine, or plural masculine depending on the noun it refers to. Okay, so best perhaps explained by an example. Alright, so here we go. Al-mu'allimatu, mu'alli, my goodness, mu'allimatu, the teacher, nasarat, helped, not she helped, nasarat. Okay, in this case this is a mubtada, this is mubtada, okay, and this here, okay, nasarat is fi'al and fa'il, okay, and the fa'il is mustatir, it's hidden, mustatir if you remember, and it is here, okay, all right, but the fa'il and fa'il are here, okay. The fa'il is a female here, damir, it's here, it's this, it's a damir mustatir, okay. The fa'il is damir mustatir, right? So the fa'il is going to be singular, dual, plural depending on what the noun is, and this was the noun. This is the noun, and it is singular mu'allimatu, right? So the fa'il is going to be singular feminine, nasarat. Okay, so they just have to agree basically, right? So we did that. All right, so and then let's do this. Or if you have al-mu'allimatun, al-mu'allimatani, sorry, al-mu'allimatani, it's two teachers, okay, then it has to be nasarana. Nasarata, they helped. See, in this case, the file is here's alif, right? So that's for dual, right? So this file is actually the file, and that reflects a dual. Okay. So if the file was dual, then the file, if this is dual, so this has to be dual. So that's easy. So jumla ismiya are actually pretty easy. Basically, there's verb agreement with whoever's doing the action, right? And if it's plural, mu'allimatun, you guessed it, right? It'd be like al mu'allimatu, okay, nasarna. Okay, that would be plural too. Okay, so there has to be agreement. So if the damir mu'annas, okay, and now, so in jumla ismiya, there will be fa'il and fa'il in the khabar, obviously, because if the fa'il was here, there will be jumla fa'il, and fa'il and fa'il, and they would be in damir. Okay, the fa'il would be a damir. If it's damir mu'annas, it would be fa'il will be singular to plural depending on what the noun they're referring to. Same thing with damir mudhakkar. Okay, so the example that's given here is, okay, al-khadimu, for example, al-khadimu dhahaba, he went, singular. So singular. Okay, and if you have two khadims, khadimani dhahaba, they both went. Okay, and then if you have plural khadims, al-khadimuna, and then zahabu, like this, like that. So dhamir, they have to basically reflect. So that's pretty easy. And there's only one last category here, and that is if you have let me go down here. This last category, okay, is dhamir jama mukassar. Jam'un mukassarun. So this is like a damir though. Okay, so alright, for example, I'll just give the example here first, okay, so we can understand this. Alright, ar-rijalu khamu. Okay, so alright, now damir to a jama mukassar. Okay, now this is tricky, the way you have to be careful how you read this thing. Okay, this is, I wrote this incorrectly actually, so let me fix this tiny bit here. Okay, so damir to a jam'a mukassar. Okay, damir to a jam'a mukassar. So as a jam'a mukassar comes, okay, and damir to this. So in other words, mubtada is a jam'a mukassar. Okay, so damir to jam'a mukassar. This is what damir to a jam'a. So mubtada is actually jam'a mukassar. Okay, and what kind of fa'il would you have? Okay, this is interesting. Okay, so the fa'il would be, alright, here you have okay, this is plural masculine. Okay, it'd be plural masculine. Okay, or singular female. singular female. That's very interesting, right? So you could use singular female. So here you could also say actually then الرجال الرجال okay قامت قامت. So if you read the sentence الرجال قامت, it's like the men sat, but the word is قامت is used for singular female, but that's a correct sentence. So you can say الرجال قاموا or الرجال قامت. They're both okay. Why are they okay? Because the mubtada is a jama mukassar. So jama mukassar is funky. See, jama mukassar is often treated as singular feminine, because if you look at the other case scenario, we had the jama mukassar, right? In the jama mukassar, you could treat a single feminine or single masculine, but that was in the case of jumla fi'liya. Okay, so in this case, look at the jama mukassar in the jumla fi'liya. What happens to jama mukassar in jumla fi'liya? Right here, it's treated as a single feminine, just like in the jumla ismiya. So it's treated as a singular feminine. So oftentimes jama mukassar is treated as singular feminine. So khalatir rijalu. Okay. Or you can say khala rijalu. Okay. So you can use a singular masculine or singular feminine in jumla fi'liya, or you can use in this if it comes in a jumla ismiya where the damir is a damir to a jama mukassar. Okay, this damir is to a jama mukassar. So the start is the mubtada is a jama mukassar. Then you can use a plural. Why plural masculine? Well, why plural masculine? Because of course it is plural. Okay, because it is jama. So either you can use a jama because it's a jama, or you could use a single feminine, which is okay as well. Okay, so these are the rules for how noun and files are used. Now let's review this very important topic that we talked about today. All right, so section 3.7 is about all marfu'at. All marfu'at, nouns that are always marfu, the 8 categories. The first 2 categories, fa'il and na'ib fa'il, the substituted fa'il. Today we just talked about the fa'il. Next time we'll talk about na'ib fa'il. And then the next 2 categories are mubtada and khabar. Alright, they're always marfu. We know that from. And then the 5 and 6 category are khabar inna wa akhwatuha and ism kana wa akhwatuha. Okay, so that we talked about how the khabar inna remains marfu and ism kana remains marfu, basically, right? Okay, and topic number 7, 8, which we'll talk in the future, ism ma wala al-mushabbahataini bilaysa, and finally khabar la allati li naf'i fil jinsi. So then today we talked about the fa'il category, and basically we define the fa'il as the doer of the action or the meaning that's contained in the word. And we said fa'il could be a dhamir, or it could be ism zahir, a name that's apparent in the sentence. And then this whole topic was about this table that is on page basically on 73 and 74. It's just a confusing table, which I have kind of understood in this way. And we have divided this topic into basically 2 sentence types, jumla fi'liya and jumla ismiya. So in cases of jumla fi'liya, okay, in jumla fi'liya, okay, this is what happens. In jumla fi'liya, the fa'il is zahir. So if it's zahir mu'annas haqiqi, okay, then it's just use a singular female, khamat aishatu. And you have a zahir mu'annas haqiqi, but there's a word in between fa'il and fa'il. Then in that case you can use a singular feminine, or you can use a masculine feminine, like khara'at al-yawma aishatu, khara'a al-yawma aishatu, because this is a masculine use for a feminine. That's okay because there's a word in between. And then if the fa'il is zahir mu'annas ghayr haqiqi, that's lafzi, that's cool too, because tala'at al-shamsu you use a single feminine, and or tala'at al-shamsu, because that's kind of a good freebie, because you may not know that shams is actually a feminine word or not. So if you write either one, you're okay, because both are okay. And finally, if you have a Jama Mukassar scenario, in Jama Mukassar scenario, same thing. You can use the file is a Jama Mukassar. You could use a singular female, Khalat al-Rijalu or Khala Rijalu, and that's okay as well. And then on the Jumla Ismiya category, the place where you'll see Jumla Ismiya would be in the khabar, right? Mubtada is a noun, and the khabar would be fa'il and fa'il, and the fa'il would have a damir in it, okay? The fa'il would have a damir in it. So in all these cases, the fa'il would be a damir, okay? Alright, so if the damir is mu'annas, okay, if the damir mu'annas, okay, the fa'il would be singular, dual, or feminine depending on the word that it's referring to, right? So al-mu'allimatu nasarat, al-mu'allimatani nasarata, and mu'allimatu nasarna. Okay, if the damir is mudhakkar, the fa'il will be same thing, singular, dual, plural, depending on the noun that it refers to. Al-khadimu dhahaba, al-khadimani dhahaba, al-khadimuna dhahabu. Okay, and then there's damir jama mukassar. Then that is if the mubtada is like a mukassar, then it's very interesting. You could use a plural masculine or singular feminine, and they're both okay. So plural masculine, or you could use a singular feminine. Okay, singular feminine, and that's okay. Ar-rijalu khamu, ar-rijalu khamat, and that's okay as well. So this was the summary of this section that we talked about, and see if I could get most of this in one page. Guess not most of it in one page, and that's okay. Then we'll go on to the next section next time, inshallah. Salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum.